absolutely regret it by the end of the day.
I have very strong core internal heating, so I'll be fine.
I might need to turn it into a wall.
Are you wearing your plate now, by the way, Talia, or is that?
No, it's in my bag.
So you're just in like night elf equivalent of shorts and a t-shirt, like.
I have chainmail on.
Which is a bikini bottoms and top slash.
Okay. Well, yeah, like the air immediately has those of you who weren't wearing them sort of reaching for your gloves and scarves. As you circle around left and begin a sort of slow flapping as the griffins beat their wings harshly, ascent up and around the mountain. You see the airship now visible to you for the first time, Silas. Seemingly now finally finished loading. Tilt its engines forwards, tilt the rotors forward slightly. The whine grows even louder if that were possible. And it begins drifting off north and westward across Dunmore in the vague direction of Gadgeton and out towards the Great Sea. But that's slow, and before it's gone even a fraction of that distance, you guys have long circled round behind the great mountain of Ironforge. As you go around, you spot various things. The terrain is very snowy beneath you, but you do fly over an airstrip where several gyrocopters that were helping to load the airship have just landed back. And then the griffins swoop down steeply down the slopes of the Great Mountain and out across the wetlands after you've been flying about sort of 15 minutes or so by the time you come around the mountain and down over snowy terrain, which gives way to waterfalls and I want to say lush greenery, but it's not really. It's quite sort of dark and dank greenery.
Love me some dank
not exactly farmland. And yeah, you begin your long flight to the hinterlands. Over the course of the day, you pass. Let's see what the route looks like from Casmodan. Yes, out Ironforge, round through the Kaz Mountains. Yes, you would see the ruins of Menethil Harbor, the flooded ruins of Menethil Harbor on your left.
Yeah.
Barely visible through the sort of grimy, unclear air of the swampy wetlands.
Sure.
Then you would spend at least a couple of hours flying, not too far above, but well above the height of treetops, across the swamps of Bluegill Marsh. Or is it Black Channel Marsh that's labeled on? Oh no, yeah, Black Channel Marsh, then Bluegill Marsh. Then well, there's like 3 different marshes all next to each other. I wonder how they differentiate.
So on the map that you linked earlier, where is this again?
So on the which map are you looking at? This
subcontinent of Lordaeron.
Map 2. Almost there. Hang on, let me link.
Okay. For a noob who doesn't know this place at all. There we go. Yes, I want to open it. Promise. Okay. So you said the wetlands right now?
Yes, you're flying across the wetlands.
Cool. Heading north?
Heading north, yep. Perfect. So your route is from Ironforge, which is the white dot in Casmodan, in Dunmore, and your end destination is Airy Peak in the hinterlands, just south of the E in Lordaeron.
Gotcha. Perfect. Thank you.
So we would arrive the following night?
Yes. You, as you are sort of crossing the wetlands, the sun comes up, and it'll arrive in the evening. It'll be a sort of full day's flight north across, fully through the wetlands and across the Arathi Highlands, and then up into the hinterlands, and then finally to Airy Peak.
Probably can put on a seatbelt and just go to sleep, can you?
The saddle is definitely broad and comfortable enough. Griffins are broader and I guess more meaty than your average hippogriff. So you certainly, if you can sort of, if you feel comfortable enough with being in the air and actually can fall asleep, it's a certain possibility. There are like straps you can tie your feet into, so you won't really be able to slide off.
Perfect. Yeah, sure.
So yeah, you just you if your nerves are steely enough, you can
Do I have to
strap
like
yourself
make a
in and
will
fall asleep.
save or something?
No. If you feel like your character can fall asleep in these circumstances, then your character can fall asleep in these circumstances. I mean, if you've actually flown around on hippogriffs before, it's not like a dramatically different experience. You know,
Yeah.
like just flying around.
I just hated being jet lagged, you know. So
Gotta get that sleep on the flight.
Mhm.
Okay. So the day does pass. A while after the sun rises, you cut across part of Barradon Bay, specifically the Drowned Reef, and then eventually across over a set of high cliffs and into the Arathi Highlands. They are a more lush, if untamed, wilderness beneath you. There's many sort of druidic circles populated by elementals that gaze stoically up at you, or at least they would gaze if they had eyes stoically up at you as you pass. You go nowhere near Stromgard City. The Griffins deliberately avoid it. And yeah, pass across the Arathi Highlands and eventually make a steep ascent into the Arathi Peaks. Around which time you guys are sort of becoming quite hungry.
Yeah. You know, we can wait till we land, right? Pretty close.
How much further is it?
Oh, because Talia has all the food on her griffin.
mean, I have-
some rations myself, yeah.
Okay,
I
yeah.
have some.
I mean, it'll be the rest of the day. It'll be like some evening by the time you arrive.
Okay.
Alright,
I will attempt
I'll
to
eat
eat
it.
one
I'll
of
eat
the
some
stones.
food.
I mean, bread.
I still have that one corner in my normal pocket, right? So I'll just nibble on that.
Just suck on the stone for a while. Basically.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's a little bit of an effort. Shalon, you have to sort of like get out something like hard and metallic, like the hilt of a dagger or something, kind of bang on the bread to break it up into edible chunks, and then chew on each thoughtfully, kind of like suck on each thoughtfully, almost like a jawbreaker. But the meal very much sustains you. By the time you've gotten halfway through what would be considered to be one day's rations, you're feeling quite full.
Okay.
In the sense that it's the weight in your stomach is a bit like you swallowed a bowling ball.
Yep.
But you
Fun
cross.
coming
It's going to be fun, yeah. You cross the Arathi Peaks and through and over into the pine-infested, or above the pine-infested forests of the hinterlands themselves, which is broadly a wide, long valley stretching east to west. And you're crossing it from south to north, so you kind of fly down one side of it, swooping over the treetops, and there ahead of you in the far distance can be spotted the stronghold of Airy Peak itself, built into the side again of a couple of mountains. There are kind of turrets and towers that stick out of the side of the mountain range and seem to go deeper into it, but built below ground. A winding path leads up from the floor level of the valley into the to the summit, and at the very top, at the most prominent building of the whole get-up, an enormous statue of a I guess it's an eagle, even though they seem to venerate griffins more, but nevertheless, an enormous statue of an eagle is sort of standing proud atop the peak, gazing down into the valley. You swoop closer over the course of the afternoon, and by the time the sun is getting lower in the sky, you land atop the highest level of Airy Peak, where the griffins are kept. and the Griffin Master and another dwarf sort of rush over and hold the Griffin steady while you dismount. The Griffin Master sort of says, surveys the group and then goes to Silas and says, Silas, is it? We've been expecting you.
Yes, that's me.
Good. You made good time. And he sort of halts the Griffin still as you dismount. He says, we understand you'll be on your way relatively quickly.
Indeed. Chris, I had a game for a second, right? I've like been looking up the different towns in the surrounding area and stuff. And it says there's a flight, and it says Chillwind Camp is currently held by Alliance, right?
Yes. There's not much to Chillwind Camp, but it is the Alliance sort of
Indeed.
foothold in the Plaguelands.
But it does say there's a flight path from Abbey Peak to Chillwind Camp.
Yes. Well, in game, yes, there is.
Is there in this
fly
one?
there? Like flight paths are more of a game mechanic in the World of Warcraft. In theory, you could fly a hippogriff anywhere, or a griffin even. But no, there's not like they don't sort of keep griffins there, and that would only be in the major places. Like you could fly there, but like no with no more ease or difficulty than you could fly anywhere.
Yeah. And like the griffins wouldn't be trained to fly there or anything.
Correct.
Okay.
We just fly all the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's more with Chillwind Camp's like actually Alliance, so it'd be like the last phase where it'd be like kind of safe, right?
In the background,
anyway.
like stretching.
Yeah, so yeah, practically, yeah. So in game, yeah, I'm like, yeah, indeed, we.
So, also, question: has the Plaguelands always been referred to as the Plaguelands?
No.
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 Used to be a human kingdom.
Yeah, it was part of the kingdom of Lordaeron before the Scourge came along and fucked everything up.
Gotcha.
Was it part of
I was also looking at stuff.
Yeah, it was definitely.
Also, carrying gloves, apparently there's a shit ton of those in the Plaguelands, and you can eat them apparently.
If you have seen them in game, you wouldn't want to.
No, it says it's specifically on the wiki page from it. says like they meet for years or some stuff. Well, not for years, months.
They're like disgusting fat worms. I mean,
Hey.
it's probably.
I mean, we're gonna be pretty hungry, I'm guessing. It said the meat was it says rather bland in taste. That doesn't sound that bad.
Okay. If we do approach from the east, I guess we could. But there's like a. I don't know.
But anyway, as I thank you, yes, we will need to be off as soon as possible. We will not be here long.
Certainly. Let us know if you need anything. Otherwise, good travels.
Thank you. And then like I kind of took
They begin taking care of the.
So how big a place is this, Chris? Abbey Peak? What's it look like?
Probably population 100, 200 dwarfs. It's basically built into the side. It's a series of bunkers almost, or well, all dwarf buildings really look like bunkers, built into the side of the mountains. There's a kind of long zigzagging path that leads down to the
8,000 apparently.
8,000, according to what?
The wiki page.
The wiki page says it's 8,000. I mean, I guess it is the capital of the Wildhammer dwarfs. I'm just, no, I don't think it's that big. At least not in my universe.
Not in your universe.
Not in my. Yeah, they've all moved to Ironforge.
Sure.
Since the Cataclysm. Yeah, I mean, there's a number of buildings. It's definitely like town level, and it's well constructed, but it's not huge.
There's an inn, right?
There is an inn, yeah.
What time of day is it, say?
Sun is setting.
Sun is setting. So going to
It kind of feels like quite a while since you guys got a proper night's sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey man, I had a nice rest up there.
I kind of get out my pocket watch and I like have a quick look and I'm like, all right, getting quite late and we need to finalize our plans on what our next step is. I would suggest we go have a drink and maybe get a room for the night. It might be nice to have one good night's sleep before we start traveling completely rough.
Sure. Did you have a plan for our immediate travels, or was that what you wanted to discuss?
I have ideas, but I'd like to see what you two
Alright.
Okay, and then I guess we go into the Incubus. Find where that is.
Okay, the inn is technically a part of Wildhammer Keep, where there are rooms to rent. So you guys make
Okay.
your way down to almost to the valley floor, and then turn into the huge fortified dwarven bunker, following signs and eventually finding your way to the inn, which is little more than a sort of a bar area serving supplies and rations, with a room of bunks in the back.
Perfect. Perfect.
I see the rations and I'm like, please no. Let us
More
just have
rations.
one more normal meal before we leave.
I'm sure they have food slightly more edible.
Nothing the dwarves cook is any more edible.
What?
Actual stone soup.
Oh dear.
Like a
Rock
bouillon.
But yeah, I guess I'll go over to them and be like, excuse me, could we get 3 beds for the night and some dinner?
Certainly, that'll be 2 copper a head.
What the fuck?
That's
Just
a
live
good
here for the rest
trade.
of our lives. You have enough gold. Right. No, right.
Not even worth like putting it down on the carriage.
Yeah, I'm not like, don't know how to do it. Right. I guess I can say I have 100 copper and take off 1 gold.
I have 3 silver, 1 copper. Or 4
You have
pence.
1
okay.
copper.
Don't worry, I got
More
this,
copper.
boys. I
More.
got this. Don't
I'm
worry.
carrying around.
Do you have any change? Is that a gold coin?
Right, so yeah, I'll pay the copper. Okay, so you gone.
Nice buzz crack there.
Ooh, can't show down Twitch. Alright, yeah, I paid man or a dwarf.
Okay.
Is his name Soulfram, Chris, or Chuck?
His name is Thulfram.
Oh, I know you.
Innkeeper Thulfram.
Nice.
He's big and shirtless and ginger.
Yeah, I
Ooh.
see it. He has a nice beard.
And a great moustache.
Alright,
Mustachio.
but yeah, and then I guess we'll
Yeah, grab a
drinks
table.
included in that. Surely, how could I? Dinner surely includes drinks if you're a dwarf, right? How could you have
Yes.
dinner,
Yeah, you each get a like a slab of dwarf bread and a mug of ale.
right? Oh my god. That all they have?
That's water
A
slice.
slab of dwarf bread.
2 copper.
Yeah, but I didn't say all this shit. Like, I kind of hoped. I guess I don't know. He
He just
slaps.
assumed you wanted the shit,
He
okay?
slaps the bread,
That's
you know, on the plate, and the plate cracks. I'm like,
It's
you have to have any.
Plate.
No. It is
Well,
complete.
right,
That's
yeah,
what it
it's-
is.
Alright, good,
Yeah, it comes like There's like there's like soup in the bread.
No, I'll be like, do you have any meat? Any pork?
Ooh,
chicken,
Mr. Ladida, fancy out of the way.
It's the innkeep. How was he not used to this?
Right?
Not it's kind of too good for a old-fashioned meal of dwarf bread, are we? Just like Mama used to make.
I show him my fucking backpack full of dwarf bread.
Yes, you've
Just
got
full.
enough to be getting on with, my friend.
See, it's a hearty meal right there.
Yes, but we were wondering if
Looking
perhaps
for a change of
Alright,
pace.
alright, I can get you some meat, but it'll be extra.
Of course.
Happy to pay.
we done 2 extra
Copper
coins.
I'm like,
Okay.
copper. I'm kind of questionable. It's like, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, how bad is the meat from 1 copper each? No. Alright, fine.
I put down a gold and saying, this is our last night in civilization for a while. Could we perhaps have something more our
Mouth
taste?
watering.
Wow.
To the mouth drying, you know?
Kind of takes the gold and goes away. You know,
Lobster comes
blasted elves and their
This-
high-minded attitude.
is the
I'm
fucking-
gonna show them.
The inn in the keep of the giant town, and he's like,
All the kings eat the bread.
yeah.
Well, they ain't got a lot of guests through here, so you know it's like it's a staging post, really. I mean, the room is like the room is just like a big open area with like 30 bunks, all sort of arranged in like 15 different. bunk
This is
beds.
more like a
Sleep-
hostel.
Sleep 30 people. Yeah.
There's a hostel.
Hey, at least it's not just one giant bed for everyone to sleep on. There's that.
Eventually, the 3 of you are presented with a rather well cooked, if slightly slightly overcooked
It well done.
meal of what you believe to be venison.
Hmm?
Perfect.
and will remain venison as long as you ask not too many questions.
I will believe
Like,
it. So
what meat is this?
Yeah.
If you close your eyes and
Perfect.
believe it's venison, it's venison.
perfect.
Great. So as we eat our venison and plate, this is our affectionately called a bed. Then I say, okay, I kind of have the map on the table. Yeah, I want us to be like
You're
in
certainly
maybe
the only
corner.
guests.
Okay, sure. But even then, I want to be not that close to the bar.
Sure.
And then I'll kind of, and I kind of trace with my finger from like AP. So I'm like, so from what I'm gathering, there are 2 trains of thought about our journey. I kind of trace the path from Airy Peak
Yeah, sure.
to, yeah, sure.
Thing as well.
From Airy Peak over Chillwind Pass, north, just following around Daramir Lake on the western side, till we get to, I would guess around the river, like like to the river that runs to Anderhall, like to that
Mhm.
river. We cross it at the lake if we can, though we'll have to ford it, obviously. Continue north until we are, I would say, almost level with Bill, quite close to the Northridge lumber camp. I don't want to take the road, obviously. We'll, yeah, I don't definitely don't take the road. Yeah, north to the lumber camp, and from there we strike west through the wilderness to
Glades.
Bill. Yeah.
To get
So
to
that,
Bill.
yeah, to that now. So that route will be the fast, I believe. However, it does take us very close to, well, close to Anderhall, which obviously is a risk, and does take us within passing distance of Sorrow Hill, which I believe are both. Well, no, wait, Anderhall's Forsaken and Sorrow Hill's Scourge, right, Chris?
And a Hall of Scourge. There's
Anderhall's
no...
also Scourge?
Yeah. There aren't Forsaken strongholds in the Plague Lands.
Okay.
Like, the Plague Lands is almost entirely Scourge.
Okay, sure.
Assholes.
Now, Scourge, how smart is Scourge?
Like... The average Scourge is sort of a Resident Evil level zombie, but like with more intelligent actors in the sort of they have like banshees, which would be a bit
Liches.
smarter, and like sort of like even like there could be like Death Knights and stuff that would be commanding them. Not really, since the Lich King fell. So yeah, on average the intelligence level is pretty low, but like you could come across more sentient creatures than the sort of average mindless brains charge attack zombie.
So there's not Death Knights anymore? Since the Lich
No,
King
there
fell?
wouldn't be. I mean, there are Death Knights, but not in the.
They're kind
not
of
in the
broken free
Scourge.
from the Scourge.
Gotcha.
I know Wikipedia is confusing. Like this one says like can't make it Forsaken, but like it's not.
Of Anderhall, yeah, Anderhall's
It's almost
weird.
like
I haven't
the
been to
WoW
Anderhall in
timeline
a
is really
long
fucked
time.
up.
I mean, Anderhall in a long time. I think like these days there's a fucking flight. There's like a flight master, and like the Alliance have retaken like part of Anderhall. It's like part of their mission to reclaim Lordaeron, but
That did happen,
not-
and then they were kicked out again by
yeah,
Sylvanas.
sure, yeah. Like I don't really believe.
But in
them,
this
man.
world, it's
That's
Scourge.
not
It's Scourge.
not my canon. Yeah, Anderhall is certainly Scourge.
Okay, and so Scourge, Resident Evil. I don't know how small Resident Evil zombies are, but like
They're pretty like just think mindlessly aggressive and
Sure.
no self-preservation instinct.
no
They just wanna-
self-preservation.
Attack you and mess your
But
dead.
Okay.
not quite as slow moving as, say, the
Yeah, they're pretty.
Walking
They're,
Dead zombies.
they're fast and aggressive and just basically want to tear you to pieces.
Sure.
So,
yeah,
since
as I said-
South Shore was destroyed, there's no Alliance foothold in Hillsborough anymore? Or are still like, for example, the Hillsborough Fields and the Azure Lode Mine and stuff, is that all gone as well?
Sorry.
Like,
Is-
is there any like Alliance presence in the Hillsborough foothills?
At all in Hillsbrad? No, there is not. I mean, it's probably like not as unsafe for Alliance to travel through as Tirisfal Glades. It's not quite that like Horde territory to that degree. But like, yeah, there's no like since South Shore was destroyed, there's no like even small like Alliance
What,
outpost or anything.
what about the Amber Mill and Firewood and Silver Pine?
Yeah, you know, I think they'd probably be there'd be a point of contention and frequently contested, but probably controlled by Greymane Worgans from Gilneas.
That's nice. Amber Mill, that is. You say?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll look at the map and say, the way I see it, we have the option that you mentioned through the Plague Lands. We can also attempt to go over the Alterac Mountains. There'll be less enemies there, but those people we would meet would be Horde, I guess. Or we could go to Gilneas and go through Silverpine, which is mostly controlled by the Forsaken, but would be safe up until that point.
Yes, I know this is I guess, slightly pessimistic way to look at things, but I of the opinion that if we do get caught and killed and captured and so on, it would be better to happen with the Scourge and the Horde. But I guess, especially if it is later in our mission, if we have found out information, it would be worrying if the Horde learned of the plans of the SI7 and how they wish to spy on their activities. It would make it significantly harder for other operatives to do their work.
Yes. And not that I keep up too much with the war and their positions, but last I heard Silverpine was quite the focus of the Forsaken. Trying to retake Gilneas and all of that, and I kind of look away from you. So, all things considering, I think the Plague Lands, while being described as divided wasteland, would be our best ability.
Yes, I believe I agree, and I think the route might be slightly faster than trying to get through the south or trying to travel through the Ultrac Mountains.
So straight line. It's like straight there.
So Arathi Highlands still has a refuge point, right? That's a pretty big, like, outpost. So up until
Which
there,
point?
a refuge
Oh,
point.
refuge point, I see it, yeah.
So until there, we wouldn't have to make the decision.
Wait, until we're there.
Because then we can go either west or.
Wait, so that's refuge point.
Oh, we would have. Oh, you wanna
We're
like?
already so much further north than refuge point.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. I was looking at the map wrong. RIP. Yeah, no, you're right.
I think, and this is another option which I guess is would take longer, but I was considering even trying to follow around Daramir Lake around the eastern side, so we can skip having to go through Sorrow Hill or around Sorrow Hill and close to Anderhall, but that would add a significant length to the journey.
I mean, again, I know nothing about this area,
Mhm.
but out of game. So Chillwind Camp, you said, is a safe place we could go there, correct?
Yeah. So if we were gonna head towards if we were gonna head that way, we would go to Chillwind Camp, then from there head north, trying to skirt between Sorrow Hill and Anderhall, I guess.
So here's the other option then. What if we instead go from Chillwind Camp and head up through the uplands in between Anderhall and Dandrid's Fold? Like through that area, past Bulwark, and then head north and then west to Brill.
The only thing I'd be I'm kind of worried about that is would be crossing
I don't think we
guessing the road
can
there.
get north of Bulwark. There's like a lot of mountains there. Like
I don't know.
there's like one gate, and that is Bulwark. And then you can go
I
all
say
the way
past
north to
Bulwark.
Hearthglen, but
So if you go like west of Bulwark for miles, it's all you can't cross that range. That range.
Chris, like think
Come
it's
across.
like
what?
I think Josh means the mountain range north of Bulwark. Is there any?
No, well, no. So what I'm saying is right. So you go from Chilwyn Camp. You basically pass straight line as if you're going to head towards Brill from there, and then once we get to the west of Bulwark, we head north past the road until we're almost equal with Brill, and then head.
I'm just
west.
worried about being that close to like the road and the other like I don't know.
You're traveling undetected through the terrain is not like, well, through the Plaguelands and even through Tirisfal is obviously it'll be harder through Tirisfal is not the most pressing thing. The Bulwark itself is like the most sort of I guess contentious part of that route.
Like a dark gate, right?
Yeah, it basically guards that point of the road and like patrols north and south. It's an undead sort of stronghold and guards the entrance from the Plaguelands into
North and south to how
into-
far? I guess we wouldn't know. Right?
like as far north and south as you could easily pass. In the game, it's sort of a like Jack, it's almost as a black gate thing between a couple of arms of like the mountain ranges, the North Lordaeron Mountains and the Altrek Mountains. Obviously here, like that's impractical because it's too much of a distance, but like they certainly patrol the border between the Plaguelands and Tirisfal Glades in an attempt to prevent.
Okay, but yeah, like the one I was thinking about going
incursions.
far north to about like Northridge Lumber Camp. Would they still patrol it that far north?
Northridge. Hang on, I
That's
think I'm looking
north
at the
and
wrong
east
map.
of the
Give me a
Bulwark.
second. Yeah, I need to look at a different map. Here we go. They wouldn't. Well, they patrol that far north, but like further west,
Yeah.
like north, just
Yeah.
But yeah, they would. Like they would patrol the whole border between Tirisfal and Plaguelands.
So do they go south to like to the river from the Bulwark, or do they keep going even through the uplands?
To the river probably. The uplands are not very passable. Like would be passable to a small group like yourselves, but no like major incursion.
Right. That's why I was wondering if that would be the best, if it's possible to go through the uplands, so we would bypass most major things, and then the only thing we have to figure out is how to get past the road.
Yeah,
On-
but
which is
then
the
we're also
west of
so
the
close to the
Bulwark.
end of the city. Kind of scary.
I mean, that's a fucking miles away.
Yeah, but there's gonna have a lot of like troop activity between there and like the Bulwark probably.
Is there a scale of distance here? No, there's not. Interesting.
But like, I mean, they can't patrol like it with heavy. I don't know.
I think it seems like it's a lot of extra travel around a lot of cities. If we head around like anywhere near Daromir Lake, seems like a pretty not safe place because then you're closer to any civilization. This one skirts most of it, and I mean the closest you get is 50 to 100 miles ish. I don't know how distances work here because there's not a range. given on the map
What
on
are
the map.
you? What distance are we trying to establish?
So like, how far is it from the Undercity to the Bulwark in a straight line?
100 miles.
So I mean, it's 50 miles east or west, basically. And the only thing you have to do is find a time and a place to cross the road and head north into the Tristal Glades, so we can make it to Brill without following the road.
Which entry point are we talking about now?
So again, so you see like the Brill. There's a road that goes south into a
Yeah.
T.
Yeah.
Southwest it goes to the Undercity, and then it kind of goes northeast up and around to the Bulwark. So that road until the T, we find a place to cross there. That's west of the
okay.
Bulwark, but
Different.
east of the Undercity
Yeah,
and the
we go
T
between
road.
the Undercity and the Bulwark. That's the idea.
Yeah. And then
So
we would cross into the Tristal Glades, staying east of that road towards Brill. Possible? Wow, people? I don't know.
I see. Yeah, I'm looking at a different map. So I see like mountains between Bulwark and the other city. So that wouldn't really.
Everyone act off the subcontinent of Lordaeron map. That's the
Yeah, sorry.
like it's
I just Googled one.
mountainous terrain, but it's like I mean it's like
It's crossable.
yeah it's hilly terrain we should say. It's not flat, but it's passable. Not by like a large group. You certainly would like block troop transport, but a small group like yourselves could cross it probably. A fellowship, so.
Alright, so through the uplands. Okay. Well, our characters wouldn't know
Like it
that
certainly
much
would be
about the geography.
slower to like. Yeah, I mean you can tell from the maps. You'd not like you guess that it would be passable, but like certainly much slower going.
Yeah.
Rather than like crossing, traveling along the road.
Mhm.
Yeah, that'd be cool. It would take us very close to the Undercity, though.
Yeah, I guess it was like don't know like how busy like these kind of roads actually are, or like how easy they'd be to cross. Like that seem like if 50 miles may not sound like much, but if you were like, hey, we're 50 miles from London, that's gonna be a busy road.
I think the Undercity to the Bulwark wouldn't be that busy because there's basically nothing past the Bulwark for the Forsaken.
Mm-hmm. It would be like the other direction, but
Yeah.
like towards like the Forsaken High Command and stuff, which we're gonna have to also cross at some point. But I will. Okay, then yeah, I'm happy to do that. Go to
Okay.
camp.
As you're discussing that, a dwarf enters the inn area of the Airy Keep and approaches the table, and sort of a military-dressed dwarf, and looks around at the three of you, assessing, and then turns to you, Silas, and says, "You're Silas?"
Yes.
He holds out a scroll and says, "Message for you from Stormont."
Thank you.
He salutes and walks off. It's a scroll bound with a seal, the seal of the cheese.
It's actually melted cheese.
A toasty.
And yeah, there's like a kind of Swiss cheese slice on the seal.
Yeah,
Okay.
I crack it open.
Crack it open.